A new report is shedding light on the finances of the Trump Organization and its business ties to Saudi Arabia. The Washington Post reports lobbyists representing the Saudi government spent more than $270,000 on an estimated 500 nights at Trump's luxury D.C. hotel right after the 2016 election. The Post reports the bookings fueled a federal lawsuit claiming President Trump is profiting from the presidency. The Trump International Hotel in D.C. is just blocks from the White House. Maryland and the District of Columbia allege Trump is unconstitutionally taking money from foreign and state governments every time those officials make a transaction at the hotel. The Constitution's emoluments clause states, "No person holding any office of profit or trust under them shall, without the consent of Congress, accept of any present, emolument, office, or title of any kind whatsoever from any king, prince, or foreign state." From any king, prince, or foreign state. This is not kind of iffy and maybe and unclear. This is a really clear clause, and it is in the Constitution of the United States of America. Dozens of subpoenas were served this week as part of the lawsuit, including to 13 Trump-related entities like the Trump Organization, Trump International Hotels Management, and the Donald J. Trump Irrevocable Trust. Also being served 5 federal agencies, the Treasury, Defense, Commerce, and Agriculture Departments, along with the General Services Administration, which oversees the lease for the hotel. 18 entities that compete with the Trump Hotel are also being subpoenaed, including restaurants and other hotels, and 1 state is being served, Maine. Republican Governor Paul LePage stayed at the hotel last year while discussing official business with federal government officials, including discussions with the President of the United States. We reached out to his office for comment. We haven't heard back. Joining me now is Noah Bookbinder, Executive Director of Citizens for Responsibility and Ethics, or CREW. CREW is working with the Attorneys General of Maryland and D.C. on their lawsuit. Noah, good to see you again.
Good to be here.
Separate and apart from the emoluments clause, which we'll get to in a second, and this lawsuit, the Trump-Saudi thing, right? He's gone out of his way to say, I don't have business deals with the Saudis. We have documented that he does, that he has for a long time. He's been helped out of bankruptcy by the Saudis. They bought his yacht. They bought the top floor of one of his buildings. His business dealings with the Saudi in some fashion or other has continued for years. You and I would know these things because we probably just have our own entities. Somebody gives us money and we give people money. But with the Trump Organization, it's complicated and there's lots of different branches. But there's no way to say the Trumps and the Saudis don't have financial relationships, and there's no way to say that Trump hasn't benefited from his relationship with the Saudis financially, which might cloud his decision-making about whether to deal with the Saudis forcefully on the killing of Jamal Khashoggi.
That's right. I mean, that is the perfect example of why this question of the president accepting money from foreign governments, accepting benefits, profits from foreign governments, is not an abstract question. It's not merely a technical violation. First of all, of course, the president shouldn't be violating the Constitution of the United States, but the president has really important decisions to make with regard to foreign countries like Saudi Arabia. That Saudi Arabia, his own CIA, members of his own party in the Senate, foreign allies believe that Saudi Arabia, that the government authorized the killing and dismemberment of a journalist who was residing in the United States around that time. And you need the president to be making decisions based on what's in the interest of the United States. When President Trump, even continuing into his presidency, is getting profits, getting business from Saudi Arabia, we don't know if that affects his judgment, but we have to wonder why he's on a different page than almost everybody else.
Yeah.
And he shouldn't have this kind of conflict.
So let's talk about emoluments. I enjoy the word. It's definitely new to most of us, but it is defined as a profit, salary, or fees from office or employment compensation for services. This is not all that complicated to understand. So where's the conflict? When we hear about these court cases, what's the part that's complicated here?
Well, part of the issue is that for hundreds of years, this issue had never come up in court because, for the most part, government officials, including presidents, just followed it. So you had something that was written hundreds of years ago that courts just really hadn't had a chance to look at. And what's amazing about this case is that a district judge in Maryland, federal district judge, looked at this clause and said essentially exactly what you just did, that this is not that complicated. This is saying that presidents and other federal federal officials can't be taking payments and benefits, things of value, from foreign governments. That's it. You don't want to have to be proving a link between a payment and some kind of official act. You just don't want presidents to take them so they won't be tempted.
And in companies and businesses like ours, those rules exist so that everyone doesn't have to be interpreted. The idea is that if you don't want to do things that have an image of impropriety. The Trump Organization points out that on February 22nd, 2018, the Trump Organization voluntarily donated to the U.S. Treasury all profits identified as being from foreign government patronage at our hotels and similar businesses. We intend to make a similar contribution in 2019. Does that answer the issue?
It really doesn't. There are a number of problems with that. One is that we don't really know how they got to that number. They are asking us to take their word for it that this is everything, but they haven't broken down how they got there, what it includes. Is this just profits? Is it all payments? And so that's a huge problem. Beyond that, the problem is not just the money itself. The problem is that when these foreign governments come in and spend money at the Trump businesses, that is a sign of goodwill on their part that could influence the president, even if the president does ultimately give the money back. We are not necessarily confident that all of the money or anything resembling all of the money has gone back. But even if it has, that wouldn't really fix the problem of, is the president being influenced by these countries coming in and giving this business?
This is an important point. The fact that the money is being given to the Treasury does not actually solve the issue of whether there is perceived or real conflict. Hey, MSNBC fans, thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking on that button down there and click on any of the videos here to watch the latest interviews and highlights. You can get more MSNBC for free every day with our newsletters. Just visit msnbc.com/newsletters to sign up now.